With our layout for the poster, we decided to have our killers centered to show he's the main focus of the poster, as he will be in the film. Then we place the text underneath, as this is a typical coding convention of film posters, to place their titles here in the lower thirds of the poster. This is the same for our billing block and production logo, as they're always placed at the bottom of the poster no matter what the genre, as they shouldn't ever be centered, like the center of attention, and they're only really on the poster because they're legal requirements. When it came to our fonts and the size of text, we continued to follow the codes and conventions of all film posters by doing things like matching our title font across the board with our trailer, magazines, and then the poster to allow our audience to be able to see the title and instantly realise that it's related to our film, like allowing us to then brand our product. As our title is the main way of branding our film other than our killer, we decided this should be the largest piece of text on the page. This is also a typical coding convention of that we needed to follow of pretty much all posters. Then, when it came to our tagline, we decided to make sure our audience wouldn't believe this is a part of the title. So this meant we had to change the style of the text, so it would still brand the product, but the audience wouldn't be confused about this being a part of our title, thinking when they go to search up the film or talk about it, find out about it, they're not looking for the wrong film, obviously, because if you have the same font up there and then down here or wherever it's placed, they might think they're just two separate lines for that same title. And obviously that's something we don't want to be doing. With our use of language, there was not much to think about, as there's not much text included on our poster apart from the title, which obviously isn't changeable because that is branding our product, as a whole, as well as the tagline and the billing block. The billing block, however, obviously cannot be changed, but the use of language within our tagline is something we could change, and we had to think of something that was catchy that the audience would remember, to help brand the product, as well as doing something that fits really well. So we ended up going with the tagline "You won't escape," as we believe this would make the real audience sort of feel involved because it's aiming it towards them using the word "you," so it's it makes them feel involved. This is something they're a part of. And it makes it feel a lot more, I'd say, tense because when they're watching it, because that sort of tagline in their head, making them feel that they're involved. When it came to the integrating of our imagery with the text in our poster, we kept all of our text below the main image, as we didn't want that to be the main focus, and we wanted this iconic character to be the thing that people focus on the most. However, we did have the text when it came to the title, which bleeds over the transparent glass that we placed behind it. That's also underneath the main imagery. We did this to show our titles are obviously more important than that piece of glass, and it makes it obviously stand out more. But obviously, the main character's the focus. That's where we placed it, and then we thought by integrating this text with the glass, it just gave it a better effect and made it stand out more and gave it that bit more of depth. And we thought it made our poster look a lot better, so that's what we ended up going for. With the framing of our shot for the poster, we did a lot of different shots, taking them in different areas, and obviously we had multiple drafts of the poster as it didn't go well the first time. But when it came down to the framing of this final shot, we decided we'd centre the killer as much as possible, as typically in most film genres you have this main character centred, so they're the main thing on display, so everyone knows who they are, and obviously, and it's again branding your products. But we aim to get this low angle shot as well to make him look as dominant as possible, also to show his danger that he's then providing to our victims. And that was it really. Obviously we made him centered. There was a lot more to it, but that's the way we used lighting. We had the light switched off at the back as well. When it came down to the framing of our shot, we turned off all the lights behind, and we had kept the lights on in the hallway to try and get it as bright as possible coming into the room, so it sort of made the silhouette effect, and that's what we were aiming to. But it sort of builds on more into the manipulation of our photography, where we actually made that a lot better. So with our shooting material, we didn't really need to take much with us apart from the equipment and the essential things. But when it came down to the mise-en-scène, we had to make sure we had this machete as well as the main mask, as they were the main focus within our trailer, and we had to make sure they were on display within this poster, so we make sure we can create this like aspect of branding our product like over and over again, with obviously in the magazine, the trailer, and then the poster. So it has, as I said previously, something for our audience to look out for. We also had to make sure our killer was in full black, as he was in the trailer itself, but we also obviously did this because it then connotes this danger and death to keep him looking dominant, and obviously create this fear that the victims would have. Then when it came down to the lighting, to make the killer the main focus as much as possible, we decided to create this silhouette effect by turning out all the lights that we had behind us, and we took it in a blacked out room. It was already like back paint obviously, and then we turned out all the lights anyway, so it was as dark as possible, and we only had the one like light on his face, so on the mask, so it's focused on there, and then we put all the lights behind him to create this really bright silhouette effect, which we thought put a lot more focus on him, making him look a lot more dominant. Then when it did come to the manipulation of our photography, our main goal was to brighten the background, as I was saying about when we were framing the shot, to create the silhouette effect and make it as perfect as we could. We did this because we believed it makes the killer look a lot larger and even more dominant than before, and put so much more of a focus on him. So we did this just by selecting the area behind him and using the magnetic lasso tool, and then we like cropped out that area. We used the clone tool on the white area that we already had, and we just literally drew over it to make it a lot brighter. And that's basically what we did to create the silhouette effect and make it even better than it already was before. We also had a problem with the door on one side, as there was the door and there was a bin and a chair, and then it didn't match up with the wall and it didn't look very professional. So what we ended up doing was, again, using this magnetic lasso tool to crop out like the normal side of the wall that we did like. Then we then used the transformation capability on Photoshop, flipped it, and then we placed it on the other side of the wall. All we had to do then was match it up really, and then again use the clone tool and the spot healing tool as well underneath the door to create the shadow effect that we originally had on the other side, so it matched up and made it look professional, as obviously we want to keep this professional look for our audience.